Picture this. A tiny rubber ball is ricocheting around a confined four-walled court at literally 100 miles an hour. You're sweating buckets, your heart is pounding, and somehow amidst all that chaos, you're supposed to keep track of the score? If you've ever watched a squash match, you know it is incredibly fast-paced. Honestly, just figuring out who is winning and why they're winning can feel like a game all on its own. But stick with me. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the entire scoring system, from basic points all the way to those tricky interference calls, so you can walk onto the court or watch a pro match with total confidence. Let's dive in.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the core challenge of scoring, the modern point A rally system, how to navigate lets and strokes, the traditional hand-in, hand-out rules, decoding the officials' calls, and finally, how you can master the court.
The challenge of squash scoring.
Squash is often called the fastest game on 2 feet. It's a highly unique, physically demanding racket sport played by 2 people, or sometimes 4 in doubles. But before we even glance at a scoreboard, we need to talk about how you actually win a point. Basically, your main goal in any rally is to hit that rubber ball against the front wall so well and so strategically that your opponent just cannot reach it before it bounces twice on the floor. If they miss it, or if they accidentally hit it out of bounds, like smacking the tin at the very bottom of the front wall or hitting above those high out-of-court lines, boom, the rally is over.
Section 2. Modern Point to Rally, or PAR, scoring. Let's kick things off with the modern standard. If you tune into the PSA World Tour today, or if you're just playing a casual ladder match at your gym, you're almost certainly using the point rally system. We just call it PAR for short. The math here is refreshingly simple. Every single rally results in a point. It absolutely does not matter if you serve the ball or if you receive the serve. Whoever wins the rally gets the point. The first player to reach 11 points wins the game, and a full match is usually played as a best-of-5 game series. Easy enough, right?
Well, there's one really crucial exception you need to know about, the tiebreaker rule. What happens if things get super competitive and you're tied at 10-all? In par scoring, a game cannot just end at 11-10. No way. If it's 10-all, the game continues indefinitely until one player secures a lead of 2 clear points. So, you could see a game end at 12-10, 15-13, or even a completely exhausting 20-18. It's designed this way so a game isn't decided by one lucky bounce at the very end. You truly have to outplay your opponent to clinch the win.
Of course, you can't score a point if you don't start the rally correctly, which brings us to the serve. The serve sets the whole tone, but it has very strict physical criteria. First off, as the server, you have to keep at least 1 foot completely inside the service box. If your toe even grazes that red line, it's a foot fault. Second, you drop or throw the ball and strike it either right out of the air or after a single bounce. Third, that ball has to hit the front wall directly, specifically landing between the middle service line and the top out line. And finally, unless your opponent aggressively volleys it out of the air, the ball has to land in the opposite back quarter of the court. If you mess up any of these steps, it's a fault, and under par scoring, that means you immediately hand a point right over to your opponent.
Section 3. Navigating lets and strokes.
Now, because you and your opponent are sharing the exact same enclosed space, squash has to have very specific rules to keep everyone safe when traffic gets heavy. The first scenario is called a let. Say you're running for the ball, but your opponent is accidentally blocking your path. You should stop immediately and ask the referee for a let. If the ref agrees that you were genuinely obstructed, but maybe you weren't going to hit an absolute outright winner anyway, they'll call a yes let. Nobody scores a point here. You just reset, the server serves again from the exact same box, and it's basically a complete do-over.
Contrast that with a stroke, and this brilliantly highlights the difference. A let is about safely getting to the ball. A stroke is awarded when you're already in position to hit it, but you literally can't take a safe swing because your opponent is standing right in your firing line. If the referee agrees that your opponent prevented you from hitting a winning shot or blocked a totally clear path to the front wall, you get a stroke. That means you win the point outright. It essentially rewards you for holding up your swing and not dangerously rocketing the ball into the other player's spide.
But what happens if you stop and ask for a let, and the referee totally disagrees with you? That's a no-let. The ref might decide the interference wasn't actually dangerous, or you had a clear path but just gave up, or, honestly, the ball was just too far away for you to ever reach it anyway. When a no-let is called, the rally stands exactly as it was played out, which almost always means the person who asked for the let ends up losing the point.
Section 4. Traditional hand-in, hand-out, or HIHO.
So we've got a great handle on the modern par rules, but let's take a quick trip back in time to the traditional scoring system, hand-in, hand-out. You might still bump into this at certain local clubs or when reading up on the sport's history. The The fundamental difference is huge. Under HIHO, only the player serving the ball can actually score a point. Imagine you're receiving the serve. You play an exhausting 40-shot rally and you hit an incredible winner. You don't get a point for that. You simply get a handout, which just means you win the right to serve the ball for the next rally.
Because earning points was so incredibly difficult, hi-ho games were traditionally played only to 9 points instead of 11. But it had this fascinating little tactical quirk. If the score ever reached 8-all, the player receiving the serve actually got to make a choice. They could call set 1, meaning whoever gets the next point wins the game, or they could call set 2, extending the game so the first person to 10 points wins. As you can probably guess, this made match times wildly unpredictable. A game could be over in 5 minutes, or it could drag on for an hour if the serve just kept changing hands with nobody scoring. That unpredictability is exactly why professional squash eventually moved over to the faster, television-friendly PAR system.
Section 5. Decoding the marker's calls. To truly enjoy watching a sanctioned match, you've got to understand the language of the officials. The marker is the voice of the score. They keep continuous track of the match, and they shout highly specific, standardized terms so everyone knows exactly how a rally ended. For instance, they'll yell down if the ball hits the tin or the floor before the front wall. They call not up if there's a double bounce or a messy double hit on the racket. Out means the ball hit on or above those red boundary lines. And as we just covered, hand out simply tells the crowd there's a change of server.
What's really fascinating when you look at the official rulebook is just how strict the marker's phrasing has to be. They are mandated to always call the server's score first. So if the server has 4 points and the receiver has 3, the call is firmly 4-3. And if the score is tied at 0, they don't say 0-0, they use traditional terminology like love all to kick off the match. They also build the tension by officially announcing game ball or match ball when a player is exactly 1 point away from taking it all.
Now, while the marker is completely focused on calling the score and watching the boundary lines, the referee sits right beside them managing the player's actual conduct. The referee holds the ultimate authority. Remember those tricky interference situations we talked about? When a player stops to ask for a let, the marker actually stays completely quiet, and it's the referee who steps in to make the final binding decision on whether it's a yes let, a no let, or a stroke.
Section 6. Master the court. So how do you actually take all this theory and get comfortable with it in real time? Here is an actionable tip. Pull up a professional PSA match online. But don't just passively watch it. Try to actively track the score in your head. Listen really closely to the marker. Try to anticipate exactly when they're going to call hand out or not up, or when they'll announce a 10-all tiebreaker. It is absolutely the best way to internalize the jargon and the relentless pace of modern squash. And hey, if you're playing at your local club without a referee, make it a habit to loudly and clearly call out the score yourself before every single serve. It ensures you and your opponent are always on exactly the same page.
One quick disclaimer before you pack your gym bag. While we've covered the universal international standards today, you should always check the specific rules of your local tournament or club league before stepping on the court. Rule sets can and do evolve, and some recreational leagues definitely still use older tiebreaker formats. Also, be aware of variations like Squash 57, which uses a larger, bouncier ball and shorter rackets. They have their own slight tweaks to the rulebook, even though the core DNA of the sport remains exactly the same.
We have covered a ton of ground in this explainer, from the rapid-fire modern PAR system to the grueling history of HIHO scoring to completely decoding the unique language of lets, strokes, and marker calls. Now that you're armed with these essential building blocks, you're not just a spectator anymore. You're an informed player. The only thing left to do is grab a racket, find a court, and put this knowledge to the test. So, the next time you're in that confined box and a rubber ball comes flying at your head at 100 miles an hour, are you just going to try to survive the rally, or are you ready to confidently call the score? Thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the court.